Have you ever thought, hey, maybe my writing is actually good enough to enter into a competition and maybe, just maybe, to win said competition? I'm butchering that pronunciation. I am so sorry. I've read, I don't know yet, but I've read what is the copyright, what is the royalties. Like, I saved the date. I was ready to find out. Welcome back to my channel where we discuss all things writing and life. And I take you guys along for the journey. Basically, I'm going to be talking about like poetry and writing competitions and like literary journals and building your author dreams one step at a time. You know, like going from nothing to something, which is what I'm in the process of doing. I have not made it yet, okay? I want to put that disclaimer right here, right now. I'm still building toward these things, but these are things that I have read about, I am currently trying out, and I will be keeping you updated on how it goes. This channel is not necessarily about just giving you, okay, this is what I did and this is how it worked. I mean, there's a lot of those on YouTube, and by all means go check them out, but I'm taking you guys along for the journey. This is not a process of an overnight success. This is not a process of like, suddenly I have all the author deals and I have all the book deals and I literally am living my dream life and everything's amazing. Like, that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm trying to do here is to inspire you guys to actually reach for your goals even though you don't know what you're doing. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going along with the process and I'm learning as I go along. With that, let's get into the video. How to find poetry/literary competitions to, you know, win prizes or get recognition. All right, so obviously Google is your friend here. You're going to be Googling that very phrase, literary competitions or poetry competitions in whatever country you're in, or if you want to do international, that accepts whatever country you're from, right? Personally, I have subscribed to a newsletter from the website, I think it's called Author Publish, where they send a weekly, bi-weekly, I'm not sure exactly, email that tells you all about the competitions and also literary journals that will pay their people, like their contributors. So I basically just keep an eye on that and see if there's anything that fits me or that I am interested in growing into, which is, I want to make that a very clear point. Even if you find, like for example, you never write haiku, but you love haiku. I'm butchering that pronunciation, I am so sorry. But like, you really want to write this, but you've never really done it, and you don't expect to win the competition, but there is a competition out there. It's a brilliant excuse to get your creative energy flowing and actually just step out into a new sort of arena and say, okay, I'm gonna write one, and even if it's trash, even if it doesn't work, I'm gonna push myself out of my comfort zone and I'm gonna submit it. So I think that that's a really beneficial way of like looking at these poetry and literary competitions and stuff, is not necessarily you think you're going to win, but you think you're going to become more comfortable with it. Like, you have to fail a lot of times before you're going to win every time. The road to success is marked with failure. We all know the cliches and all of those things, but basically I'm just trying to say, even if you don't find one that perfectly matches exactly what you want to do, consider branching out and trying something different. So, literary magazines and what they expect. Now, this is specifically for not the competitions, but actually for like actual literary magazines or poetry magazines that will pay people, or even those that are free and cannot pay their writers. The reason why I'm bringing this up actually is because I've read, I don't know yet, but I've read, traditional publishing houses really like to look at your track record and see that you have been published by people before, or maybe you haven't, or whatever the case may be. Like, it gives you more credit if you have been published before, which I think is very useful and helpful. So I'm trying to get my own book traditionally published eventually once I finish editing it and doing all those things. So I am trying to build up like that credit and actually get it out there. So personally, that's what I'm doing. If you're looking to get yourself traditionally published, or even if you're not, if you're like trying to get yourself like to KDP publish or like Barnes & Noble Press or whatever self-publishing platform you want to do, like that is 100% fine as well. But like, if you want to build an audience, one of the best ways I think personally, again, not that much experience myself, but what I have read and what I have observed is a great way of doing that is to put yourself out there and actually have works of literature that you have written be published so that people can see you and they can say, oh yeah, I've actually read a short story by Jessica Yakira, like I actually think that I would enjoy her longer book. You know what I'm saying? So always bear that in mind. Literary magazines, what they expect and what they offer is going to differ depending on which magazine you're working with, and how much they're offering to pay also depends specifically on their own rates and stuff like that. For example, I submitted to Poetry Wales, and I think they have a certain amount of pounds that they pay per page of poetry. So if you have 2 pages, then you'll get obviously more, and then it's like up to a certain amount of money that they are willing to pay per person that is submitting. Other literary organizations pay per word, per letter, per whatever. So you have to just check out what exactly they expect and what they don't. One of the things that you must look at, which is something that has kind of put me off of a lot of different literary journals, is look at who retains rights, what is the copyright, what is the royalties, are they going to republish it, do they get the right to republish your work, are you allowed to publish it after you've published it before, do they accept work that has been published before. So these are just things that you need to look out for and make sure you're comfortable with. Like largely, if you want to get published, you are going to give up a lot of your rights as well. And if you're selling the rights and royalties to your book, just be aware of that. You no longer have them, so you have to be, cautious. You can't reprint it or whatever. So just be aware of that. I personally think that it's worth it, and a lot of the time you're going to not get a lot of exposure unless you are sacrificing certain things. But just be careful that you're not signing away your whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be just aware. And I don't want to say that a bunch of literary magazines and poetry magazines and whatnot are like being scandalously robbing people of their work and like not allowing them to republish and suing them and stuff like that. Like, not the horror stories, guys. Let's not focus on that. In fact, I don't think I've heard a single one of those horror stories. I'm just saying be cautious, but at the same time, feel free to actually look these things up. The terms and conditions are actually something you need to look up. I know not a lot of people read the fine print. I personally find it fun to read through contracts because there's usually some sort of wording that they put out there that is just hilarious. Like, I cannot even, one day maybe I'll read through a contract and I'll point out to you guys why I laugh so hysterically every time that I read a terms and conditions or privacy agreement or something like that. There's always something funny in them. Currently, I'm looking at submitting to a few poetry journals. One is Heron's Nest, and that is for the haiku style poetry. I do find that one a little bit difficult because my tendency is not toward writing about nature or writing about places, which is very much the focus of haikus traditionally. I have much stronger a focus on like people and emotion and things like that when I'm writing poetry. So I do find it difficult. I have written a couple haiku that are like not very traditional, and I'm like debating, do I send those in at all or do I just like leave it and try and again stretch my capacity to something that I'm not used to, but I do believe is very valuable. And to be able to write about scenery is not only valuable, especially it's very, very short, and I am not a very short and to the point person. Anyone who knows me, and even you guys who have seen me on YouTube for more than one episode, even just this episode, I tend to ramble. I tend to talk a lot. And I love talking and I love expressing myself in that way. But I also know that sometimes it can be overwhelming. And in writing my book, I've discovered that like some scenes require lengthy descriptions, other scenes desperately need me to be concise. And I'm not a concise person in and of myself, so actually writing haiku, which are like such short little poems, and they have to pack a punch, like to create an emotion in such a short time, is extremely difficult, but I think it will be amazing. My sister and I were even chatting today about the 6-word poetry. I love that. I don't know if you guys have heard this poem. I don't remember who wrote it. Some famous person. I will put it up here. But it's a 6-word poem, right? Hear this out. It says, "For sale, baby shoes, never worn." My heart! My heart! Like, there's so many things that could mean. It could mean that it was a stillborn, it could mean that it was a miscarriage, it could mean that this woman is barren and like they were really hoping to get pregnant, but they couldn't. It could mean so many things. Like, and all of them are like gut-wrenching, heart-rending. It's incredible poetry to be able to pack that punch in that few words. It's something I aspire to so much. Again, that is why I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone and submitting to Parents Nest. Then there's other poetry like, what's it called? There's the Last Stanza Poetry Journal. I'm looking at submitting to them. Then there's also the 14-line poetry. I don't remember if that's the actual name of the thing, but basically your poetry has to be no less and no more than 14 lines long, excluding the title. And I love that because I can have so much fun with the 14 lines. Like, I'm genuinely looking forward to writing that one. But yeah, so like I'm saying, like, there's a lot of different ones that I'm submitting to. Those are the current ones that I'm looking at submitting to. There's new ones every month that come through, like I said, when I'm subscribed to this newsletter. So yeah, keep an eye out. There's most likely there'll be another one anytime you want to submit. The problem that well, not a problem, it's a frustration that I have with some of these things is it does take a long time, and I'm not the most patient person. I'm not like a super impatient person, I feel like, but like I'm not the most patient person. So what I have a little bit of sadness about is the fact that it takes so long to find out whether they have accepted or rejected you. What I do find interesting though, I submitted to a particular poetry site, like a website in Wales, and it looked great, it looked awesome. I did the submission and I still haven't heard back, and it's been, I think, 6 weeks now, and they said I would know in 5 weeks. So like, they're not like pushing me so far, but like I kind of was really, like, I saved the date. I was ready to find out whether it was a rejection or an acceptance. Now I'm like, do I email them or do I not? Anyways, I think we can move on from there. So I think I'm gonna leave it off there because I was kind of planning to give you some sneak peeks, but like I said, I looked at the terms and conditions on these submissions that I want to do, and most of them are very much against any kind of sneak previews or any pre-publishing, even on social media and stuff like that. So like, I'm going to be cautious and not give you any glimpses because I don't know which ones I'm going to be sending in yet. But yeah, I really hope you guys got a bit of inspiration here, and just the building of your dreams takes time, and sometimes the building blocks that you're using, they're not what you expect. For me, I didn't expect to start submitting. I didn't even think about it for a long time. So I think it just got really, I think I may have just gotten kind of absorbed into one particular style, and that was kind of blocking me a little bit because I was stressing a lot about my book, and especially about the fact that I was like, it would probably not go through, it might not go through. It's an allegory. Allegories are not like the most popular type of writing, but people who like dystopian and fantasy might actually enjoy this book because it's kind of a blend of that in a way, whilst being not either of the two. So it's kind of doesn't fall into any category, but is quite nice for a lot of categories. So like, I got really stressed about that, and I think that's kind of why I stepped back a little bit from editing my book and started to focus in on these submissions and like just testing my range and growing a little bit on those sides. So that's a bit of my own personal side of the things. But yeah, I hope you guys kind of got a little bit of inspiration here because, like I said, I genuinely did not know you could do this until my sister kind of pointed it out. So like, I'm being your big sister now and I'm pointing it out for you. Well, I'm being your little sister, which is kind of annoying. Just like wants you to do what she's doing. Maybe. I might cut that. Anyways, so if you have any questions or want to have the link to the Author Publish website where I'm getting all of my newsletter and stuff from, just go ahead and DM me over on Instagram. I'll leave that linked below. It's at Jessica Yakira. Or you can reach out on X or Facebook. I am not great with the Facebook side of things. Like I haven't figured out that app yet. But anyways, I hope you guys had a really good time watching me today, and I will see you guys again next week. Love you lots. Have fun.